maybe we can begin by just inviting abantu abadala. I think it's always so important that kuzo zonke izinto esizenzayo. Tamaku, Epitoli, Siyabulele. Can't wait to connect with you. Just to really invite the ancestors, and also maybe building on yesterday's conversation, to fully acknowledge that Nyani, even though we may come in this physical vehicles that we use to move in the dimension, but there's also other energies and other people that are constantly with us, whether we are aware of it or we are not, whether we feel deeply connected to it or not, but that connection is always present. And to call them into a space is also to bring them and what they know and the things that they know so that they can be used in this present moment, as some of the things that we also feel like we need. Thina ke singabathembu amadiba oyemyem ungqokomsilo ke nabempenselo zonke zindlela zikazenzake sizalwa ngongcobo ontonto ngothekelo mashiya mahlombisa zicela ukubalo sizalwa ngorhadebe omthimkhulu ondlemenhle zombili. Maninzi ke siyababiza esibaziyo nesingabaziyo, because there's so many of them that are also speaking with us at this time, and we are humbling ourselves as children and opening ourselves up to receive the messages that we are meant to receive in this time, because we never really know how this is supposed to go, but through being present in the space, a lot of things are able to flow through us. So we're just asking for this moment. Just take a moment to breathe in. Everything you may have experienced before you got to this point, just allow everything to dissolve. And may this moment that we're all going to share together be a reminder of everything that we already know. And maybe just as a way to just recalibrate us, to say that truly we are not walking alone. Maybe in the past, we may not have had these ways and forms of connecting, but now that they are available, perhaps what is it that can we do for self, but also for the collective as well. Kosi. So yesterday we were having our first conversation with Damak Johannesburg. We're having our first conversation with Gogo, and we were unpacking the body, or at least finding ways to try to understand what is this hyperdimensional technology that spirit uses in this dimension to achieve or to perform certain tasks, and say maybe thinking about how then through our growing or through our cultivation through various systems of control, for lack of a better word, or social conditionings. There's a very particular way that we grow, and because we grow in that particular rhythm or pattern, we tend to think that that's how and who we are, and that almost in a way limits the broader spectrum of what we can become. So I think maybe essentially that's the key interest for us, is trying to find ways of deprogramming and also expanding our consciousness, but focalizing all of that in the things that people are already doing, instead of, say, maybe using a grand approach of thinking about, say, what is the universe? How are people in your own language already conceptualizing of that? And how can, when we allow ourselves to tap into the language, and the language and the vibrations that the languages make, and therefore the kinds of information we access through that language and its technologies. And where could that potentially take us? I'm a very, very young child when it comes to everything that we are feeling, we are expressing now. But it brings us so much joy because beyond being here now in this physical encasement of uSisonke, I feel like there's many things that I have done before. Even though I'm slowly like really trying to realize and touch here and there, and the moment I grab this, I remember, oh, this part of me. We are joined today by very close and dear friends to us, teachers, guides. I don't know how I can begin to explain, but I think when there was a turning point to truly and deeply turn inward and to listen and to excavate what Spirit had in store for me beyond what I felt the world as it is currently designed had to offer me. And in that path, I was guided to multiple people, and Ubuntu that's joining us, Abongile, is one of those people that through listening, we were guided to. So maybe just a short anecdote of how we actually got to meet, at least in the physical anyway, because there are times where you meet people and you really feel like, well, we've been here in some way or form, and we've been doing something together. So we were on campus. This was Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University at the time.
Yeah.
I'd just dropped out of an IT course, programming in 2012, because that was like a really huge time of my awakening. And maybe this is a timeline we can also reflect on. That when I was in this space now where I really had to figure out what I feel I'm here to do beyond the machinations of the world, I sensed an energy or a presence while walking on campus, and I was like, hey, I've never felt this before here. Let me try to figure out where it's coming from. So here I am running around campus, and then when I raise my head, I had to say, this is the person that I was looking for. And I was compelled to just kneel down and bow and introduce myself and the people that I work with. I'd never done anything like this before. But then at that time, it really felt like this is what needs to happen. And through that, I connected with Abongile, and I feel part of today's conversation really, the cycle, if I really like trace it back, like it starts there. And there've been many ripples, like since 2014, a young one.
Yeah.
Since 2014.
Yeah.
That have led
even I dropped out.
Because that have led to 2018, where we really started to focus intentionally to say that there's this thing that we are feeling that we need to do. And let us try to find a way to listen to it and also surrender to it and allow it to take us where it feels like it needs to take us. So since then, I think today is just a combination of all of those different events. But before I really open it up even further, I think even just setting a space, or at least an intention to honor or to remember Umdodali, tamKhulu Mutwa, is such a profound thing. Because also the time that we were fortunate to be given with them, we're also traveling together, doing this work. the name that we also operate under as Sanusi was also a very specific message that was channeled. So ukuthi siyabulela for everything. Also the cycle of balance, maybe things in the past few cycles didn't seem like they were coming to clarity, but we're feeling like bit by bit, there's a grander architecture that is unfolding. And it's really amazing to be here with all of you, to witness it and to witness you in all your individual works that you do. So just gonna give uButwe a little bit of time just to introduce himself and maybe just share a little bit about your own journey within the sonics and maybe see and see you.
Thokozani bahlali ngiyabulisa ngothando. Igama Abongile. My surname is Lerotholi, and I come from Port Elizabeth, now call it Qhawekazi. Singongwane or sketchani, umafuza fulele, olovuno, ohlongwane, osangweni, omabi, osithole. Yo, my journey with uButi Sisonke, man, like as you said, like since 2014, like even I was like, you know, in awe, and you know, we can't even explain, you know, like why, you know, it's happening, but it happened the way it was supposed to happen. You know, I mean, it's been so many years now. It's 2021 now. So what? It's been like 7 years, you know, pushing this passion, you know, pushing what we love most, and obviously doing the mission that we have been sent to do. It's funny enough that Sisonke's story and my story are almost like the same. You know, our fathers, you know, unfortunately died, you know, at a specific age, and we were like young. We dropped out, you know, in university as well. I also went into the path, you know, of, you know, bukhosi, and hey, like it's just been a real journey, you know, like with me, and like this, like all of these things that have been happening, I can't even explain it. It's such a whirlwind, and it's such, but I mean, the experiences like that I've had with music, it sort of brought me closer, you know, to who I am, you know. It brought me to myself, and Sisonke sort of saw, you know, like that light, you know, and from then on, like we just like expanded this small granite idea into this huge, you know, manifestation, of which, I mean, I can't even believe that we are even here, like at this point in time. I'm just in shock. If I can't even say anything like at this point in time. I'm so much in a way. I mean, I'm so amazed, and I'm so humbled about how far we've come from like humble beginnings, you know. Saskala, you know, with nothing, literally nothing, you know, and Goku, we can say that, you know, hey, it's just a huge, it's an honor. Man. It's an honor.
It's the shedding.
Yeah. I can't even speak right now. Yeah. Yo, I can't.
Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. You know, just as you're saying about just the connections, thinking again about, you know, souls and different kinds of souls and kinds of vibrations that certain souls carry. And this is something that I'm really trying to get into the understanding, as I'm also learning, finding ways to connect with myself. That over time, we keep meeting these people, again, who remind us of us, who are us, beyond Nyani UMzi+Mba, Simdumye, or simoyamne.
Oh,
Simoyamne. And I really feel like the quest had really been trying to understand that through all of these experiences. But how do we really transcend the division, the separation? And maybe, again, cycling back to 2012, it was first purify your heart, because now you are carrying so many things that you yourself are not allowing yourself to get into your next possibility. And I think even you just touching on the matter of loss or losing a father at a young age, that was something that weighed so heavily on my consciousness, because growing up with family, yes, team, my mother's the third wife. So even just the social dynamics of this whole space are wild compared to having to interact with kids at school, who are growing up in this nuclear family type space, and all of the other different configurations of family operating. And I recall like really deeply that death was something that weighed so heavy on my consciousness. And maybe at that time, because I was really like here in the five senses, I could not conceive of a world or even a possibility. All of my meaning, how is calling. Just 1 second. I wonder if this is gonna cut us. Tamagus as well. Joga, let me text you, ne? Okay. Oh, you. All right. I'll text you now. Okay. Just okay. Hey, the admin. Split in multiple bodies. But yeah, we're here and we're present. But what I was trying to say, maybe I'm just gonna hand over to you while I try to text you for a quick second, is working on the transmutation of the pain, working on the wounds and taking your time to really listen to them and to address them or to redress them, and through working on those parts of self and getting to a space of lightness, or at least where you're able to release and maybe thinking of sound as that modality that you use then to release, particularly the piano, because I know you have a very special relationship with it. And when you're operating in that space, there's many dimensions that open up. Maybe when I try to get you onto the line, I'm just gonna close my video for a quick second, but I'm present.
Cool. Right, Tamagu King man. Molweni bahlale kwakhona. My relationship, with piano is quite funny, because I was never taught, to play the piano. But I picked it up, in the music department because I studied music in NMU. Back then it was called NMMU. And I was used to, playing, like certain keys. I wanted to, know certain styles. So the piano was sort of like a prime machine, like for me to know like how these chord progressions would go and how the harmonies would go, and perhaps the singer should sing this soprano note, or this person should sing this tenor note, or just how to compose and how to arrange. And it just gave me sort of like an all-rounded picture of what music is. And my first instrument actually was drums. It still is, because I play percussion. My second instrument was saxophone, but inside Lali, only because I'm so lazy to fix it. But my relationship with Amatambo, you know, like the keys, it's something so surreal. The way that it just releases, you know, the emotions, you know, especially after all the pain that I've been experiencing, you know, thus far. And it was the only device that literally poured down each and everything that was holding me back for myself. You know, the more I kept on practicing, the more I felt myself, the more I felt I was literally me. And I mean, it was just amazing. I would just go to school, pango 7 a.m. exeni, go home at like 10 p.m. every single day, you know, just for the keys, you know, just for the keys, any chance that I would get just to compose. And it's funny enough that in my pursuit, you know, to find myself through the piano, ingoma just like, or tamKhulu like came out, you know, amanyange, you know, the gathering. Those tracks literally came from those practice rooms, you know. Nana Sisonge were literally siyakhanda sobabini whilst doing other videos and other things. And it's just amazing how, you know, after so much, I mean, this is the manifestation, you know. Piano has taught me so much patience, kindness, you know, to be gentle at times, you know. The way that you play the piano is sort of like how you are as a person. And I mean, to be honest with you, I've felt numb for so long, for so long. I mean, there's a point where you feel so much pain, and then there's a point where everything just becomes numb. And piano was the only device, the only thing in the world that literally made me feel something, even if it was pain, even if it was happiness. As long as I felt something, you know, it made me feel human. Because if you don't feel anything, I mean, you're not existing, you know. So through me probably healing myself, you know, if I could say that, um, I've, 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 I've graciously, you know, healed other people through, you know, this art, you know, like that I do. And Uputi and Sisonge sort of, or has picked up, you know, that sort of thing. And I mean, from the start, he would do the poetry thing, and I would do the whole piano thing. And I mean, it's just amazing. The first memory or the first gig that we had was at Grahamstown, to be honest with you. That was the most erratic, craziest time of our lives. Also, especially meeting System Psych also for the first time, ngase-ITech, you know, as well. Having my first gig at Bai, playing the keys as well. I mean, that was one of the most surreal moments of like my life, you know. So in that retrospect, yeah, I mean, piano is just like one of those things where I just picked up and it literally kind of like chose me, you know. I mean, I just thought just looking from a distance, the piano is not something of my taste. But the moment I just sat down and I literally just calmed down, and I was just still and centered, you know. I mean, everything didn't exist. It was just a stream of traveling, a stream of navigating each and every strand of my emotion, how I felt. There were moments I would cry, tears would fall down like to the keys, and the keys would be wet, and I would, you know, like it got so rough. But I mean, it's just emotional. So I can't even explain it like right now, at this point in time. But you know, this relationship, you know, with the piano, you know, it's something else. Ubhuti would always reference, you know, me to Utata Ubheki, Seluku, like the way that he would approach, you know, the keys, and you know, and I was like, yo, man, like that's a huge, you know, thing to say, you know, because I mean, that's yeah. But yo, King man, yeah. Let me just, leave it there. Let me just leave it there.
Oh,
Let me just leave it there.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this out.
So,
Siyabonga. Siyabulela kakhulu, 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 kakhulu. It translates in the sounds in every note. It's deeply felt. It's deeply, deeply felt. Siyabulela kakhulu. So we managed to get Usiswe to Q onto the space.
oh, finally.
Say Viela Londo. And we learned that from yesterday that we must be proactive and create 2 separate links to this transmission. So this one is going to end in about 6 minutes, but then elandelayo izoqala yona quarter to 8. So would like just as soon as it ends, we'll try to connect in that space. Maybe also the time in between would be good for us just to catch our breath. There's much I want to reflect back on PP that you've shared, but just to give Usisi Uchu just a moment to say hi. She was at rehearsal, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us. Tamako. Yay! Sisujani.
Johnny.
Oh, I'm so happy that you were able to make it. We need to get used to handling the back end of these things. So siswam andazi noba mhlawumbi ufuna nje uzazisa nje kancinci ne just as a way to allow us to transition into the next cycle of le ndibano yethu. But then kufikeni kwakho just to tell you what's been happening. We've just been reflecting on the miracle of meeting. And I think the gathering as well will be something really profound for us to meditate on. But really just thinking about some of the things that we feel we're here to do, or at least are called to do. And what are some of the lessons, the tasks, and the things that we have to do in order to surrender, in order to be able to access those parts of ourselves. It could be remembering a piece of memory, technology, it could literally be anything. And essentially getting into a space where in embracing ourselves, we'll also embrace those who came before us. In a very physical and material sense, Qhawekazi, who is pure, and maybe then being here now and feeling as though like, hey, beyond all else. So essentially we're meditating on that about his own travels and internal space before getting into thinking about making sound and also happens kulondawo. Funa nje ukuphama nomzuzu wona siswam ungekaqhawuki yenzela abantu bakwazi ukuba ubani, and so that they can know what to expect in the next transmission.
Right, Molweni, hi everybody. Kamalam is Qhawekazi, Giyose. I'm from East London, up in Monty. I was raised here. I'm a vocal transmitter, but I'm also somebody who's very passionate about music's ability to sort of heal us internally, our body, our vibrations, through frequency. I connected with these guys through just the way we sort of gravitated towards these conversations of healing, conversations of who we are, kind of searching for ourselves in a way. And I think I really like what you were saying before, song about how do we all connect. And I think it was very organic in that way. I don't think when we all met, we thought we'd come this far together and connect and go this deep into our individual journeys and how that we would all be sort of helping each other go deep into our own journeys. So I really felt like, as much as I'm doing it to be part of the collective, in a little bit of a selfish way, I felt like meeting you guys really enhanced me and helped me grow and helped me sort of narrow and figure out what is it that I'm trying to say, or how do I move towards my purpose. So right now I'm working with different instruments that work with the body, sound, the sandawa monochord bed, as well as other drums and things like that. I don't want to go too deep because I can also see the time trickling away. But yeah, that's who I am. As a vocalist, my background's in jazz. And I think through jazz, I was led to indigenous music, the music of uMzi+Mba. And then through that, I was led to sort of combine the two and find a way to find my voice in that sphere of like the technical side of, you know, jazz, and then like the sort of the organic like chanting side of umculo wesintu. So yeah, that's who I am. And every day I'm trying to combine these things in my life and make it make sense. What's up there?
Tamako. Oh, that was so beautiful, Siswam. Thank you. I think you've given us so much to begin this next transmission, particularly about the modalities and tonalities of sound. And maybe we're looking forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Maybe I should stop the recording first, ne? Okay.